It's not every day that you pick up a game and you know from the very second that you start playing that this game is going to be an absolute masterpiece. That from the very beginning, every single thing about the game just comes together to create something amazing and something incredible that will stay with you forever.
I saved her.
The Last of Us Part 2, an amazing game that everybody should absolutely play. And if you don't like it, you're a goddamn idiot and your opinions don't matter and you don't know what you're talking about and you probably just don't understand what they're trying to do with the game, which means you have a small brain. And that's fine. You can have a small brain, but you just don't know what you're talking about. And that's fine. We won't judge you. We'll just, you're stupid, so whatever. But games like The Last of Us Part 2, games like Red Redemption 2, games like God of War, games like Ocarina of Time, games like Final Fantasy VII, these are games that stay with us forever, that people will talk about forever. But the game I want to talk about, a game that I truly believe is the greatest RPG of all time, and that game is called Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger is a game that was released on the Super Nintendo back all the way in, I think, 1997. But did Chrono Trigger come out in 1995? Oh, it did. Okay. The point is, it doesn't really matter when it came out, because it is an all-time classic, and it will be considered to be one of the best RPGs ever. Forever. A lot of people cite Final Fantasy VII as being the greatest role-playing game of all time, and that everything about that game is perfect, a perfect cast of characters, perfect score, perfect bosses, perfect design, everything. And yes, I agree. Final Fantasy VII is one of the greatest RPGs of all time, but I believe it is number 2, because I think Chrono Trigger does what Final Fantasy VII does, but a little bit better. There's RPGs now that are just adapting things that Chrono Trigger did 25 years ago. So to have a game from then still be able to stand up today truly shows that it has lasted longer than time, and that even though it has an old art style, whatever, it's a sprite-based game from Super Nintendo, of course it's going to look a certain way, that's just how it is. I know some people can't get that out of their heads and they just can't play a game that looks like pixels. It's like with people with movies. Oh, it's black and white, I can't watch that, my eyes, black and white. Hey, some of the greatest movies ever are black and white. You ever heard of Seven Samurai? Seven Seal? Use your eyeballs. The thing about Chrono Trigger is that it's so far ahead of its time that it stands up 100% with games today. Chrono Trigger has a cast of characters that is so perfect for each other, and each one of them is so unique and just brings so much to the game. When you look at a lot of RPGs now, they're garbage. Same with levels, same with worlds, same with monster encounters, same with bosses. Chrono Trigger did every single one of those things perfectly. Random encounters? Fuck them. They're gone. You don't need to worry about those. And I don't like random encounters. They slow the game down considerably, and it makes it feel forced that I have to go into a battle and watch it like, every single 2 seconds. It's not, I don't want to. I want to play the game at the pace that I want to play. And if I want to fight a monster, let me see it and know I'm about to encounter it. And I think that's what it does better than Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII had non-stop random encounters, and sometimes it was overloaded. Back when I played it fucking 20 years ago, I thought it was the greatest thing ever. But when I replay it now, I think I replayed it last year. It was still incredible and I did love it, but man, it felt like it was old. Like, I like the Final Fantasy VII Remake better than original Final Fantasy VII, even though Final Fantasy VII Remake does have issues with pacing because they stretched out realistically what is like the first 10 hours or 7 hours or whatever of the actual original game and made it a 35-hour game, which is a little bit unreasonable and a little bit crazy, but still, it brought like new life and new excitement to that game, which I think it needed. But Final Fantasy VII is still a classic and should still be played by everybody, but it does feel bogged down a little bit by being a product of whenever it came out, 1997. The point being that Chrono Trigger should be considered by everyone to be one of the greatest games of all time, because it absolutely is. The combat is fast-paced and fun. The story is incredible and spans multiple eras across dozens of locations. The characters are perfect. Magus, Frog, Robo, Chrono. They're just the best. It's honestly just every good thing that you can think of in an RPG mashed together into one, and it did it before everything else. It is an absolutely perfect game, and realistically should be in everybody's top 10. If you haven't played this game, you 100% should, because you will enjoy it. It is worth playing. Play it.